Go ahead, Deb.
Dori.
Dori. Dori. Sorry, Dori.
Okay. Okay. So I was on the call with Lita on Friday, and when the call was all over, we just started talking about sticking points for people and what stops them from sharing. And I said, I think even if you're outgoing and you talk to everybody, that the confidence to actually share what you have to offer people, you get that internal dialogue that just starts going inside of your head like, oh my God, here we go. They're just going to think I'm trying to sell them something, or what are they going to think of me? And even people that we might not ever see again, that, we just met in the grocery line, there's that thing in us that we just start thinking that. And just since we were little, like if parents, teachers, whatever, TV, social media, we are inundated and brainwashed with all kinds of internal dialogues that say, you're not enough. They're not going to want to hear what you've got to say. This is going to be, they're going to reject you. And we really do need to be brainwashed because our brains are dirty. So there's so much available to us. And we were talking about self-development. Like the biggest thing, I've been in a few network marketing companies, and the biggest thing I learned in any of them is the self-development. I was in one that you had to read a book a month. And that was, just the expectation that if you were in and you were going to do anything, you were reading one book a month on self-development, not a novel. And then in another one, it was 20 pages a day, no matter what, because leaders are readers. But we have so many other resources that, actually sitting down and reading a book, people these days are just kind of too busy for that, but you can get a book on tape with Audible. There are so many podcasts, YouTubes. Like, there's really no excuse for us not to stop that negative internal dialogue that we continually have with ourselves. And you just catch yourself. You don't even realize it. Here's one that I have that I am working on right now. I don't even know why. I'll sit down to pay bills. I have all the money, no lack. I'm going to pay all the bills. But this anxiety creeps up in me about, oh no, I'm sending my money out. So I've been catching myself when I do that. And before I even pay bills, I just talk to the Lord about it. And then I just cast the care over on him. And if it starts creeping up in me, I take that thought captive and say, you know what? There is abundance all around me. And there's no reason that I should be anxious in any way. But it takes a conscious effort to do that. So, and I heard this one guy say, I shouldn't have a thought in my head that God doesn't have about me. So if you're having all these thoughts like, I'm too fat, I'm too disorganized, nobody likes me, those are not the thoughts that God is having about you. And so you literally have to arrest those thoughts and take them into captivity. And then what is it that God would say about you? And it's not enough to just try to shoo away a negative thought. You have to replace it with a positive. Our minds are gardens, and there's always going to be something growing there. And on MRI, you can see the difference between a negative thought and a positive thought. Like the negative thoughts look like these black trees like you would see in a horror movie, and the positive thoughts just light up. And you can watch this happen on people's brains live while they're either being fed negativity or positivity. So that's what we talked about. The only way to get the confidence to keep going and fight off that negative, and you have something good to offer. You're helping people, so it's good to share with them and not be taken captive by those thoughts. I really do recommend, and some of you may have heard of this, Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret in the World. It was recorded in the 1950s. It is the most selling album of the recorded voice of somebody just talking. And when we were homeschooling, I made my children listen to it every day. Like, it's a 30-minute thing. They had to listen to it every day. But I have to say, not my first 4 because I didn't know about it. It was my second 4. But they are completely different in their mindsets. Then you can see the difference. So I make myself listen to it. I've listened to it many, 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 many times. And I was just thinking about it tonight. I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to go back. So if it's free, it's on YouTube, Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret in the World. And just start doing self-development. Start reading. There's so many. I just found out from Lita that in the Empowered Success in our back office, there's a reading list. And we had even talked about like picking a book and starting to just dive in and have everybody be on the same page with the book and talk about it. Anyhow, that's all. Take your thoughts captive, do your self-development, get confident, stop believing all those lies that the world, the flesh, and the devil tell you, and keep moving.
Love it. Wow. Thank you. Can you guys say just like
Dori. Thank you. That's awesome.
so Dori has brought up a good point about what about us doing something to help us do. First of all, do you guys, one thing, Dori, before you go, I know you have to leave, that's why I want you to ask another question here. Can you share what you're doing in your journal, that thing that you were telling me you were doing too? That was really cool.
Yeah, so I just watched a YouTube of Rachel Hollis, probably over a month ago, but I just decided to do what she said. The first thing is the things you're grateful for. So you write down the things you're grateful for, and that changes every day. But then I write down my top 10 dream goals, and I write them in the present tense as if they have already happened. So I don't say, oh, I'm going to be debt free. I declare that I am debt free, and imagine what does that feel like, because you have to believe that like it's already happened. And I don't say, oh, I'm going to weigh this weight and be this size. I declare I am this weight, I am this size. And I do that with I have purged every category in every space. I have a place for everything, and everything is in its place. So there's 10 of them, and I write, and I write them down, because thoughts in our head are just electrical activity. But when it comes out the end of your pen or pencil onto paper, it's in the physical world. And then, what's the one you're going to focus on right now? So, and each of those has a date too that has to be. Many of the things I've written down, some of them are just by my end of year goal. One of them has a 9/1 date. So, but I've been trying to, I can't say I've been absolutely every day, but I've been trying to every day as much as possible to write this down, because it gets in you. And then I find now what happens, how you're just like muddling about and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much I have to do, but I'm not really sure which thing I should do. But those 10 things have me saying like, oh, never mind. This thing will move me towards that goal closer. So then I know what to go do. It kind of really helps me go in a direction and not just be going like, I have 1,000 things to do. I won't do any because I can't decide what to do. I have these 10, so let's do one of those. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I put a link in the chat that doTERRA has a list of books that they recommend. And if you guys can open the chat, I don't know if you all see that the link I put in there. And so I'm going to go to that link and show it to you, share your screen in case you can't get to that right this second. But so I just Googled doTERRA. Develop a book list doTERRA, and it went to the doTERRA website, and I clicked blog and I found it. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but it has a list. Do you see this on my screen?
Yep.
So the list would you guys like to do, like, first of all, can you guys raise your hand and just say what book you're reading right now? Dori, are you reading a book right now, a personal development book? Dana, Shelley, can you guys share anything that you're reading? Fran, Tracy, personal development books. And the Bible does count.
Well, of course, I'm reading the Bible, but I'm reading one called Nutrient Power.
Nutrient Power.
It's a health and nutrition book.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yeah. Krista, do you have something you're sharing?
I'm reading one called Bright Spots and Landmines. It's self-care for myself and my family, but helping me with my daughter. It's a diabetes guide.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
I'm glad to pass it on. But so I figured it's like still self-help, I guess.
Self-care, yep. And that's really, really important to do that. Really important to do self-care. Thank you so much for sharing, especially as a caregiver. Anybody else doing any personal development?
I'm
Shelley?
finishing up Rachel's second book.
You are? Okay, so then you saw that, then you know what she's talking about, what she's writing, the top 10 things then. And there's a podcast that Rachel did that she goes over that. I'm not sure which podcast it is. Dori, do you know what it is? And could you share it later, maybe in the messenger thread if you find it again?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't. I just kind of randomly stumbled onto it.
So Shelly Izzy is doing
Find podcasts.
Shelly, Dana does podcasts. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I listen to her podcast.
Oh, her podcast, yeah. So I think her newest one may have done something about procrastination. So I listened to Bob Heilig it's called The Invisible Upline. He's really, really, he's a Christian, but he's a really good motivator, but really smart and like just from a good sense of mind. Really liked him a lot. And he's on a podcast also, as well as other ones that I listen to. doTERRA has a business podcast that teaches you how to have a one-on-one, how to teach a class. It's excellent. And it's only have 8 episodes in. So it's called Empowering Solutions. And that's a free podcast from doTERRA. And there's also an Essential Oils Solutions one too for oils. And so it talks about LLV, all kinds of things. So Shelly's doing one that's a paid training. Shelly, what yours is called? I Can?
It's Deb Erickson doing the I Can Institute. And she has a numerous amount of training that she does. It's mostly mindset training and changing your mindset.
And she's a lot of, go ahead.
By doing, listening to things that she has created to try and brainwash your brain with better stuff.
Yes. So she also has a lot of free things on Facebook, right, Shelly? You don't have to pay for anything. You can listen to her Facebook page. She has a Facebook Live. Is that correct?
What's her name?
Deb Erickson. Now you can also go to icaninstitute.com and she's got freebies on there too.
I can do it, like icaninstitute.com. Thank you so much for sharing. So there's some
strength finders. I'm doing the strength finders, and I haven't taken the test yet, but I just bought the book and I just started that book too.
Yeah. So don't read the book yet. Take the test first.
Oh, okay. Take the test first.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend all of you guys taking Strength Finders, and then you can go into your Strength Finders and share it with us, our emails. So Dori, if you ever take Strength Finders, you can buy the book on Audible, and they send you a free test. So if you have a free point in Audible, the test is free. You take this test, and doTERRA has a whole training with a pamphlet and everything about using our strengths to build our business. Plus, it's really amazing for me to learn that too, because there's a lot of resources there where I can help you with once I know you've taken it. Okay, so the last thing is do you guys want to are you interested? I know school is starting up and there's a convention in September, but Dori and I were talking about maybe reading a book together. Like we would read it on our own and maybe gather in 1 month to read it. We might not do weekly calls because of life and things and hard to do that for some people. But that we would be reading at the same time and commenting and sharing what we're learning. That would be really great, like in the Facebook group, Business Team Jade Essentials. Would you guys like that idea?
I would.
Okay. And so just, so it says K Bully, but that's Krista. Okay.
Sorry.
Fran and
my
Deb.
work one of my personal.
Oh, gotcha. Fran, Deb, Tracy. I don't know if you guys can answer if you'd like to read a book. On my phone, on the screen, The Slight Edge is a great book for people who have to feel they have to do all or nothing. So it's all about the hard truth and motivates you in really small little steps, how simple it is to achieve something with small incremental steps. It just is a motivating book. I've only read like half the book, but it was enough that I felt like I got a lot out of it. I'm sure if I read the whole thing, I'd be like even better. GoPro is for network marketing, people new to network marketing, and it's like sort of like a basic book that everyone should read. Beach Money, I have not read it, so I can't speak to it. The one that that's doTERRA related, there's Being the Starfish, and there's a doTERRA Wellness Advocate version. And I think Lisa Adler has a book and Florence has this book. So I would love to, that's a great book. Dana, do you have this book too? It's from a couple of years ago. It's just more about how to share. So it's a great one there. The next one I'm going to recommend, it's called, that Mary Englert recommended, is Making the First Circle Work. She feels like that is a really key one for people. But any of these books would be great. It kind of depends on what you need. Do you need mindset? Do you need help getting over that? Then you might want to read something like that. Do you feel it's all or nothing, and you struggle with that in any area of your life? Either you do something or you just don't do anything. You just give up, like kind of what Dori said. Then Slight Edge will be better for you. We also could read our own books that we like to read, maybe from this list, and come back together and discuss what the book is about and introduce it. So we're not necessarily reading the same book. We could read our own. Raise your hand if you want to read the same book. You take a poll. Okay, read the same book.
Thinking, or maybe even listen to a podcast. That might be easier.
Okay, podcast.
I
I'm
don't
okay
know.
with the podcast too. I actually probably like that better.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. You know, like, have you ever listened to, who's the guy that does the first 5 minutes or something like that? He's,
Well, before I go into all that
Yeah,
stuff,
go ahead.
I'm not against the podcast. Here's the reason why. I listen to podcasts all the time, and I think that's great. But there's something different with taking one aspect and unpacking it. So like
Okay.
really like taking a good week or a month to really focus on one area. Because I'll jump from podcast to podcast to podcast, and I recommend all of you get the Empowering Solutions one, the doTERRA business one, as well as the oils one. And then Bob Heilig is a great one called Invisible Upline. Emerge has one too. I love their podcast. I listen to that a lot. And Deb Erickson has a podcast too. So I recommend like listening to podcasts putting things in your head all the time. But I was thinking, and we could start with one podcast to keep it simple. And I'm willing to do that. But I do feel like when you really take advantage and listen to a book, you're really getting the whole thing. So I have two people for podcasts. Anyone for a book?
No, I would be willing to do a book. You know, either way, whatever the group decides.
And then Dori, you've read a lot of these books. What would you recommend? Dori's raising her hand.
Raising my hand to say book, and only because I do also listen to a lot of podcasts, but it's a scientific fact that your brain, it's different when you read. Your brain wires things differently than when you're listening. So it's a discipline. It is, and it's one that I often struggle to find the time for. But
well, I actually listen to a lot of audiobooks just because life. So I like to live in the car and the cleaning. So I think listening is okay. But what happens is that Audible has these little notes where you can keep virtual notes. But I noticed that I don't necessarily apply it like I would if I could write in the margins of a book. So it's a different type of listening. So I do agree with you actually. But so what would you guys like to do? So I have podcasts and I have a couple people for books.
I'm okay with the book.
Do a book? Okay. Now, I was thinking that one of the books that might be very helpful for people is the understanding that network marketing is not you don't do this necessarily forever. If you really give it all that you have and you can work it full time, it's called like the 4-year career. That's what the idea is. But for me, I started it differently. I just needed $300 extra a month, and then maybe $600 and $900. And as time goes on, I'm like, I could hit diamond. So I have come to it to a different way where building my mindset has been different because I didn't come to it all in. So it's taking me a little bit longer, but I do feel like Go Pro would teach you like the basics of the skills that every network marketer should know. So I like GoPro because I feel like that's like not the Bible, but kind of the Bible, and it's free. I have it free in our Facebook group. I have the audio and the PDF, but you can buy that book for like nickels, like on used Amazon books. But I have it, the free audio book. We could do that as an option one, or we could do making the first circle work. This is what Mary Englert recommended for all new people. Or do you have a third choice? Which of these else sound good? I'm willing to listen to all of you.
I think you said Dori had read several of them. Is there one that she might not have read? or that she would like to read again that she thinks is really good?
Those are both good choices. I think the Slight Edge, because I am that all or nothing person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
If I can't do everything down to the very last detail, why even bother starting? Yeah.
So that's a great one. That's like the number one for new people. Go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Not me.
Okay. So Slide Edge is what you would recommend out of this list. Okay.
Sorry. Hold on.
No problem. No problem.
Car.
Shelly, or do you have a suggestion? Knowing you're and Fran and Tracy, you have a lot of people on this call. Shelly, what would you recommend?
It was somebody.
I enjoyed GoPro. I don't know the Slight Edge. I've never read it.
Do you think what would be best for your team?
I don't know. Dori's on my team.
Yes.
I mean, GoPro is definitely a good choice.
Let's see.
Where do
What
you
was-
get the Slight Edge?
The library, the library has them. The Amazon used books, Amazon, you can probably get it for a few dollars. I'm sure you can get it used. So Slight Edge is good for building the steps. And I think it's a they're all easy reads, guys. They're really simple reads. There's nothing really deep about any of these books. What I do is I end up falling away halfway through. So if I know that I have to read it and show up for you guys and we can discuss it, I'll make me finish a book because that's why I like Audible. But it's okay. You don't have to finish every book. Sometimes you need a book for a certain season for something that you need to work on. So I like to work on things at a month at a time, or maybe read an audiobook, listen to podcasts, like really work on one area where I feel that that's what's holding me back in my business. So this is why I'm saying, what is the thing that will best serve your people? Shelly, you have other people on this call. What would be the best thing to serve your people or to serve you, Dana or Krista?
Can you go back up, Lita, to the Slight Edge real quick? I want to finish reading that one. Yeah, thank you.
I think this might be a good one, actually, knowing from a lot of where you guys are struggling with being consistent and like it's all or nothing. And it really is the little things every day that incrementally make a big, huge difference. It's those little small individual choices that add up. So I think that would be great too. So both the GoPro or Slight Edge, probably now I look at it, might be really good. And then we can pick another book for maybe the fall, like late fall, like October, November, December, maybe because it's holiday time. Maybe we'll take one book and kind of work on it as a team. What do you guys think? So Slight Edge or GoPro? Okay, let's Slight Edge.
Slight Edge.
So one.
Okay.
Slight Edge.
Okay,
Slight Edge.
I can't. And how about GoPro? Say it out loud. No one? Okay, so Slight Edge has it. So you can find it at the library. So can we guys all try to read that? You can definitely do podcasts too. But this is something I'm going to encourage you guys to listen to and read. I got it right from the Howard County Library. There's tons of them there. So you can definitely get that. So thank you so much, Dori. I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you, everyone, for this meeting.
Can we set a date for when we're going to discuss it so we know how to track ourselves?
Yes, that's a great idea. So
like a month from now is right before we go to convention.
Right, so that might be a little bit crazy. We could do it Labor Day weekend, that Labor Day week before convention, or I kind of think getting it done and discussing it before convention would be good because, but could you guys have time to do it the week of Labor Day? Are you guys all traveling that week? We could chat on the phone or get together.
That weekend works for me because it's a little bit more, it's the holiday weekend, so.
Yeah.
September 1st, I'm definitely not available. We're having an 18th birthday party.
Okay, so the 1st is a Tuesday. I mean, part of me would love to get together.
Wait, the 1st is a Tuesday?
First is a Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry. The 2nd is a Monday. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, wait, how are we having
is the
18th birthday party
that morning, like for breakfast or something early?
I actually won't be. We might be traveling that day.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was thinking we could do Tuesday, or we could do Tuesday. that are, or Thursday the 5th. We could do it in person or on the phone on Zoom. How's Thursday the 5th?
Can I ask a question? Isn't our monthly meeting around that time though? Should we
Right.
just do it?
Right. We would be probably Monday night. We could do it Monday night, September 2nd.
I can't do the 5th. I have a wedding the 6th.
Okay, Monday the 6th, Monday the 2nd on the in our normal time slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could just take a portion of the call to talk about the
Yeah.
book.
Okay, so
Yeah.
That way it's not an extra call for people.
okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. So I'm gonna write down. So
Monday, September 2nd.
Yep. And I think it's
Start at 8.
Yeah, let's start at 8, a little bit earlier.
or 7:40. I mean, kind of want to start at a little bit. So 8 o'clock is okay, or is it 8 o'clock fine?
8 o'clock's better for me.
Doing her
Okay.
thing next week.
What?
Whitney might be doing another thing that week.
Yes, that's the problem. Is that Whitney has this event this first Monday of the month now at 8 p.m. and it's going to be right when we have our meetings, our big.
What is it?
But she finished at 8:15.
She did finish at 8:15, so we'll plan it at 8 o'clock. But if not, we might have to move it to 8:15. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
And guys, be prepared. Like, sorry, if you're inviting people all month, you're going to be inviting them to an online class. So, like, she's going to give us some more training to that. But I just want to let you know that this is coming up. So I'm going to write down Monday, September 2nd. And then it'll be on Zoom. Okay, Slide Edge book discussion and team meeting. Okay, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you anymore. You guys are you are good to go. Thank you, Dori, for sharing that. And I have to say, I'm really intrigued by this journal idea. 3 things I'm thankful for, 10 things in the positive, like a positive present tense, I'm sorry, and then which goal of them you're going to work on first. I think it's really important because I'm not a goal-oriented person for me to start to think about that. Like I hear a lot of people write, I'm an exceptional wife. I'm a loving and caring mom. I've seen this on YouTube, Instagram stories. I follow the Start Today Journal hashtag, and I've seen what they're writing on it. It's really, really cool. So it's not like weird woo-woo stuff. It's really good stuff, speaking positively about what you'd like to be. So thank you again, Dori. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Yes. All right, let me stop